Over 3 years with one of Chase's best credit cards, and I have no plans on stopping. In this video, we'll go over my experience with the card, both in year 1 and every year after, special strategies I use to maximize value, and because no card is perfect, issues I have with the card as well. But whether it's about cashback, redeeming for domestic trips, or unlocking premium travel experiences, this card can do it all. And it all starts by maximizing your first year with the card through optimizing the welcome bonus. Because for most cards, welcome bonuses provide a lot of value and also differs depending on where you're getting to the application page. For example, right now I'm seeing a welcome offer of $200 after $500 of spend in the first 3 months, which is the baseline offer. But the magic happens when you find those elevated offers. When I applied for the card, there was an elevated bonus of not only the $200, but an extra 5% back at grocery stores up to $12,000 of spend in the first year, meaning if you spend about $1,000 per month on average on groceries and max this credit out, that's $12,000 times 5%, or a whopping $600 of extra potential value, which brings the welcome bonus from just $200 to a whopping $800. That's 4 times the value just by choosing the right welcome offer. In fact, in recent years, I saw similar offers where they gave 5% back at gas station spend, although in reality, most people probably spend way more in grocery stores than they do at gas stations. Even better though were the recent offers that offered a 5% back, but in combined gas stations and grocery stores in the first year. That's an amazing offer. But how do you go about making sure you're getting the best offer? Maybe you just Google for the card, see the application page, and get the baseline $200. Well, you can also try one of the following methods. Number 1, check at different times. Welcome offers change all the time, so checking again could yield you a different result. 2, switch up your device or networks. Maybe check on your phone or check at the office. As long as the mentioned offer on the application page, not just the product page, is what you want, then that's all good. Or 3, try links from different sources like some of the ones linked down below. As always, choose the offer that brings you the best value, because a difference of $200 versus $800 is too significant to ignore. So now that you've locked in a great offer, what about the actual spending? How can you comfortably meet the minimum spend for the welcome bonus, as well as maximize those extra 5% offers? Hitting the $500 minimum spend across 3 months averages to about $167 per month. Considering the average American spending habits, this should be fairly manageable. Redirecting everyday expenses like dining, groceries, or regular purchases has been a strategy that's worked well for me. Then when it comes to maximizing the extra 5% bonuses, especially when you need to spend $12,000 in a full year, it is a bit tougher. Yet with the right approach, you can at least get near that amount in order to squeeze as much value as you can. And here are a few strategies that I found effective. First, shift all of your local grocery store spend onto the card in the first year. Second, front load some household items or things you can purchase in bulk. For example, toilet paper, tissue boxes, detergent, or just things that won't expire quickly. I would have needed to buy these things anyway, so why not do it when I'm guaranteed 5% back? And third, if I'm going grocery shopping with friends, I might offer to pay for their share and then do a simple Venmo or transfer back to me. It's a simple way to boost spend on your card, especially if your friends aren't as invested into maximizing credit card rewards like you are. These strategies have not only helped me hit that minimum spend, but also maximize the value of that 5% bonus in the first year. There are more nuanced methods out there, but these are the ones that have served me well and likely you as well. So that's a welcome bonus, which easily justifies the card in year 1, even though it doesn't have an annual fee. But the Freedom Flex is the type of card that you would open and keep open forever, given it's so easy to find value year after year, and why I still have the card today. That said, my usage varies a lot. Some months it's my go-to card with a ton of spend, while other months it's collecting dust with no spend at all. And that's because the biggest selling point of this card is getting 5% back in rotating categories up to $1,500 of spend every quarter. And not every quarter aligns with my personal spending habits. For instance, in Q1 of 2024, the categories include grocery stores other than Walmart and Target, fitness clubs and memberships, and self-care spas and services. Given my lifestyle, my spending in these categories is quite minimal. I have a gym in my apartment, I rarely pay for these self-care or spa services. My grocery store spend is on a low end, although I will put all of that spend on this card these few months, but in general, I just haven't used this card that much recently. I'm also working on another welcome bonus, so there's also that. On the other hand, in Q4 of 2023, when the categories included PayPal, this card saw a lot of spend. When so many stores take PayPal, anything and everything I was purchasing, I would first double check if they take PayPal, and if they don't, check a competitor to see if they take PayPal and have the item for the same cost. In fact, there are some data points online showing that the bill payment feature on PayPal also triggers the 5% category. Maxing out the quarter, 5% of $1,500 of spend is an extra $75 per quarter. And that's all for doing nothing more than double checking that the store takes PayPal whenever I'm checking out. Now, although I think most people will get this card because of this 5% category, it does also have other elevated categories that can come in handy, like 3% on dining, 3% on drugstores, and 1% back on everything else. Specifically with the 3% back on dining, I think if you don't have many other cards or options like the US Bank Altitude Go with its 4 times on dining, the Freedom Flex could act as your main dining card. Just know you will be charged 3% in foreign transaction fees when you're trying to use the card abroad, which is why in my strategy, I keep it simple. I use the Freedom Flex only for the 5% categories and then use my Sapphire Preferred card for all the other categories, given it doesn't charge a foreign transaction fee. Exploring beyond points earnings, the Freedom Flex also offers a suite of benefits at no extra cost, like the benefits across DoorDash, Instacart, and Lyft, with DoorDash getting 3 months of complimentary Dash Pass, as well as 50% off for the next 9 months, Lyft giving 5% back on Lyft rides, and Instacart getting 3 months of membership as well as up to 10% back in credit every quarter. Though given how marked up Instacart prices are, you may or may not be saving money using the service. Personally, I don't use Instacart, and for Lyft and DoorDash, I use these perks on my Sapphire Preferred instead, which has a better version of these benefits. But the Freedom Flex doesn't just stop there. It's packed full of service protections and travel insurances to give you that peace of mind as well, like purchase protection against damage or theft, where if you buy AirPods and get it stolen out of your view, you could use this benefit. Extended warranty of an additional year if eligible, trip cancellation and interruption insurance up to a per person and per trip limits, secondary CDW, and notably cell phone protection up to $800 per claim or $1,000 per year, as long as you pay your monthly bill with a card, and up to 2 claims in 12 months with a $50 deductible. In my case, my employer pays for my phone, so I don't get to utilize this benefit here, but it is good peace of mind in case you damage your phone. I'm also lucky that I've never had to use the other protections or insurances on the card, but they're there if you need it. Now, considering all of these amazing perks on the Freedom Flex, along with no annual fees, it's hard to find it anything but valuable. However, if you still feel the card isn't right or it doesn't fit your strategy, there's 2 things you can do: cancel or product change. And in my opinion, the latter is better, because if you product change to a card like the Freedom Unlimited, you're getting an unlimited 1.5% back on all of your purchases, or the basic Freedom card, which lets you keep that 5% back in rotating categories, both of which will allow you to keep the credit history you have with the card and not hurting your credit score. Another tip is that each of the Freedom cards individually have language to say that you won't qualify for a welcome bonus on the card if you've had one in the last 24 months, or if you currently have those cards. That's in contrast to the Sapphire lineup of cards, which has a 48-month rule language and applies to having either of the Sapphire cards. So technically, if you find yourself wanting the Freedom Flex again, maybe you're eyeing the lucrative 5% categories, you could reapply for the card, qualify for another welcome bonus, maximize it using the tips from earlier if you're past the 24-month mark. It's the same way and reason why some people have multiple Chase Freedom Flex cards. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning, no matter your credit card strategy, the Chase Freedom Flex can do it all. At its core, you're getting 5% back in rotating categories, which is really the best you can get for cashback. But if you want more, this card also works nicely alongside complementary cards. And for me, that includes other Chase cards like the Chase Sapphire Preferred card card, and here's how. I use my Freedom Flex card as a workhorse card to earn a lot of points, specifically from the first year bonus or the 5 times categories every quarter. And you may have noticed I've said 5 times, and that's because although the Freedom Flex is marketed as a cashback card, the rewards are actually given in points. So instead of $200, you're actually getting 20,000 points, which you can then convert to cashback at a 1 cent per point rate to give you the original $200. However, with Chase allowing transferring of their points across these cards, you can instead transfer these points over to the Sapphire Preferred or Reserve and get even more value. With the Sapphire Preferred, that means getting an elevated 1.25 cents per point through the Chase portal. And with the Reserve, that's 1.5 cents per point, which puts the original 5 times in quarterly categories to 6.25% and 7.5% back in value, a major boost. This synergy is where I think a lot of people will find their sweet spot, giving higher value than straightforward cashback, but avoiding the more complex travel partners. Yet for those of us who want to maximize our points, Chase travel partners are the golden tickets to the higher value. Basically, Chase has a list of partners where you can transfer points to in order to book travel with their respective portals. My favorite of the bunch is Aeroplan and Hyatt. And it's not just for luxury international travel. You could get higher value by booking regular domestic flights too, getting upwards of 1.5 to 2 cents per point. For an in-depth step-by-step walkthrough, check out my Chase points redemption video up in the corner. But to give some real-world examples, I've personally redeemed for a premium economy flight from Vancouver to Toronto on Air Canada, listed at $480, but I redeemed about 20,000 Chase points transferred over to Aeroplan. A business class flight from Vancouver to Osaka via Air Canada valued at $2,461, but instead redeeming 55,000 Chase points also through Aeroplan, giving me a value of about 3.3 cents per point. A stay at the Hyatt Place Waikiki priced at $672, but instead redeeming 24,000 Chase points over through Hyatt, giving roughly 2.8 cents per point. But also considering Aeroplan awards going as low as 6 or 10,000 points for most domestic distances, that should easily get you upwards of 1.5 or 2 cents per point. And that's just 2 out of the 14 partners that Chase has. And that's what makes the Freedom Flex so great, because for the baseline you can get 1 cent per point, meaning the quarterly categories will give you 5% back in value, or much more, averaging say 2 cents per point for travel partners, which means those quarterly categories would give you 10% back in value instead. The Freedom Flex plays a key role in either case. Now, no card is perfect and the Freedom Flex is no exception. Having used it for over 3 years now, I definitely have a gripe about it, especially now that we're in the deep end of the video. I mean, just the other weekend I was mentioning to a friend that hey, there's an elevated 5% back for grocery store spend while we were in the line. Not only did they not know this, they didn't realize you actually had to go in and activate these categories every quarter. Whereas to us enthusiasts, it's pretty natural to go in every quarter, press a few buttons, and activate these categories. But that's not the case for most people, and I don't blame them. It's definitely a tactic Chase does to either keep this card top of mind or hope that most people will forget and not even know they're not earning those extra points. Because if they really did care, they would make it more user-friendly and just make it automatic every quarter. Just look at the City Custom Cash. It's all automatic with no activations. And then second, cards like the City Custom Cash, which are in head-on competition with the Freedom Flex, especially when you can flex month to month which category you want to spend more in to trigger that 5 times category. However, here on the Freedom Flex, it's really sporadic. Sometimes use it a lot, sometimes use it not at all. This all takes up headspace or mental gymnastics, where when you're combining with all the other cards you have, could be pretty annoying. But speaking of competition, there are alternatives that could suit your spending habits better, with potentially less hassle and even higher rewards. The Freedom Flex is not alone and is surrounded by some awesome other cards, so jump on over to this video so you don't miss out. See you over there.